If you're a Nigerian, you are born defeated. We are a people born defeated, and this has nothing to do with wherever you found yourself. It has nothing to do with wherever you were born, even though you were born in America, even though you were born in Britain, regardless where you were born, long as you were born Nigerian, you were born African, you were born defeated. The difference is that those that have been born in Western societies are less defeated. When you're born in Nigeria, you grow up in Nigeria. My brother, my sister, life is already ahead of you. And the reason is simple. You know, if the things that we were born into, or we are born into as Nigerians, were the same things that those in the Western world are born into, you would understand what I mean. You know, Nigeria is traumatized. An average Nigerian is a product of trauma. And in that case, you don't really know what your problem is, especially when courses like psychology, clinical psychology, are not promoted. It is traumatic to see someone talk about, I just want to study law, I just want to study medicine, I just want to study engineering, because those are the courses that have been presumed to be viable. The other pastor they call Odubeje is fond of making jests on university courses that he considers of no value. Why are you studying history? Why are you studying political science? Why are you studying Igbo? Why are you studying, those courses that people think do not have a future in quotes? But when someone says that and someone responds to that, that's trauma playing. Nigeria has to heal. Nigeria has to heal. And it is at this point that I got to realize how wrong it has been of me, calling out Nigerians for the things they do. Aristotle said, "Give me a child until he is 7, and I'll show you the man." What that means is that everything you do in life from age 0, in fact, from while you were in your mother's womb, because whatever your mother is faced with while you were in her womb, she is going to transfer the energy to you in her womb. Say you eat from what she eats, wherever she goes, you go. The difference is that you are not physically present. Whatever energy your mother carries from her environment, she transfers that energy to you in the womb. So you are coming into the world with an energy of trauma because your mother is traumatized. The worst is that it is your mother who carries you in the womb. In a society that is a whole lot of patriarchal, patriarchy in Nigeria is something I don't even want to go into. The woman is Nigeria is a country where a president, the one who represents the country, The number one person when it has to do with anything that concerns the country said eminently that women belongs to the kitchen, to the I can't even bring myself to remember how he puts it, to the other room. So you have instrumentalized woman, you have sexualized woman, you have commonized woman. It is that same gender that carries the baby that will be brought into the world. Imagine the energy around that kind of gender, and imagine the energy with which that gender will bring forth an innocent child. So, born Nigerian, you are born defeated. It's like football, Champions League. You are going into the second leg with with a 5 goal deficit. You have to score 5 goals to stand a chance at penalty shootout. If you wouldn't be able to score 6 goals to just win the match, how does a team function in that kind of game? That's how Nigerians are born. And it happens as we speak. Someone is in the maternity ward trying to push out trauma. And trauma reproduces trauma. You are born traumatized, and you're born into a traumatized society. And everything about that society is trauma. It is at this point that I do not want to blame. I'm not making any excuses whatsoever, but it's at this point that I do not want to blame anybody, any Nigerian, over however they act. It's not even action, it is reaction. Because it was Newton that said, for every action, there is equal or opposite reaction. So Nigerians are not acting. Nigerians are reacting to a system that was designed to defeat them even before they were born. It's like a system that was designed to defeat them before the game began. So Nigerians are born defeated. And when I say Nigerians, I am not leaving aside the leaders who we complain so much about. What you are seeing these leaders do is just reaction. They are also reacting to the system. The difference is that they are reacting to the system from a position of envy. A lot of people who call out system is based on the frustration of not being opportune to the position where they can take what the leaders are taking. Before you see someone who is calling out government for what it is, you need connection. Almost every Nigerian that is complaining about government is not complaining about government because they want government to function the way government. To start with, I do not really see Nigerians as people who understand governance. Because if we understood governance as Nigerians, we wouldn't be talking about elections. Election to put who in what system? If you understand governance, you would be talking about the system. You'll be talking about fixing the system. Because as long as that system is the way it is, you will never be governed like human beings. The system was erected and maintained in a way that you will be governed as animals, that you will be governed as slaves. The people who put these systems in place were at first instance aliens who saw you as aliens, who saw you as monkeys. By what means will someone that sees you as monkeys, someone that treats you like animals, leave you systems that will treat you like human beings? It's common sense, it is a no-brainer. So when you see Nigerians, but whenever I speak about Nigeria, just have it at the back of your mind that I'm speaking about Africa, I'm speaking about blacks. So when you see Nigerians behave the way they behave, when you see Nigerians buying votes, now politicians, and when you see Nigerians selling votes, when you see Nigerians beating traffic, when you see Nigerians going through the Mediterranean, going through Sahara, trying to cross over to Europe, when you see Nigerians doing those things that doesn't make sense, when you see Nigerians kidnapping people, stealing, when you see Nigerians in examination malpractice over just simple studying and passing your exams, when you see Nigerians saying school na scam, when you see Nigerians raping people, when you see Nigerians abusing women, when you see Nigerians fighting, when you see Nigerians having arguments in the middle of the road and they park their vehicles there to block the road and nobody passes. When you see Nigerian military reducing civilians to all manner of organized abuse, when you hear military call civilian bloody, bloody civilian, when you want to go and protest and ask for justice and you are met with resistance and SARS, when you see police brutality, when you see, oh my goodness, when you see a pastor asking you to pay some amount of money for prosperity, when you see Nigerians praying to God rather than asking for a change of system or regime, when you see Nigerians do those things you do not like, those things you also do in different ways, when you see Nigerians act silly, when you see Nigerians behave like animals, they are not acting, they are reacting. They are reacting to a system that was designed to make them behave that way. They are not abnormal people. They are normal people going through an abnormal system. The people who you should even be questioning are people who are not going through this kind of systems but are behaving like animals. Those are the people that really have a problem. Now let's talk about how Nigerian society operates. Take for example myself. I was born by parents who never saw electricity. You know, I was taken from the maternity ward to the house. Apparently, I didn't get wrapped in nappies. When we were raised, we were wrapped in white cloths, not nappies. We used to call it napkin, napkin. What it's called nappies, but they are not soft. They are white cloth, like towel, like they will tie you, and they'll tie those clothes around you. You poo there, you pee there. There are no nappies to absorb whatever droplets that you're passing out as waste. You stay there very uncomfortable. You'll be tied by the back, and then your mom will be walking to the farm or to wherever it is she's going to make daily returns for economy, and the sun is shining on you at the back. The mom is not happy, and sometimes it will rain on you. That's the kind of life you're exposed to from childhood, and then you grow up to go to school with outdated books, a school that tells you Mungo Park discovered River Niger, school that tells you Nnamdi Azikiwe was first president. You know, you go to schools that tells you that English is the major the major subject of instruction, and whatever you want to write, whatever entrance exam you want to write, you must study English. You go to a school that translates science and technology only in English, but they translate the Bible in multiple cultural languages. You go to a school that teaches you to go to school so that you would earn a living. You do not necessarily have to go to school before you can be alive. Those countries we run to, a lot, they are some of the most ignorant people. They don't go to school. They are begged to go to school for free. But while we even want to go to school, we do not have fees. I have been repeatedly chased out of class for non-payment of fees. And guess what? Back then in federal government college, my school fees was about 1,000 naira, but I was chased out of class. No, you are exposed to streets where all manner of things happen. You know, your parents beat you up. That's domestic abuse, by the way, because they want to discipline you. They read portions of the Bible that say spare the rod and spoil the child. You sleep in the dark, you wake up in the dark. You When it's rainy season, the night is very cold, and when it's dry season, the heat is something else. In fact, there are people who there was this kind of building they call Karabut. In Lagos they call it Paco, but Paco is with wood. Karabut is with zinc at the top, zinc all around the building. The building is made of zinc and not bricks. You could see how hot it will be. Zinc is like aluminium. It absorbs heat. So when it's dry season, the sun rays drops down on the zinc that is the roof, and then hits the corners of the building or of the house that is zinc, and you will have to stay in there. You have to sleep in there with that heat. There are no recreational activities. If you want to see football, you would have to walk to viewing centers where you sit beside someone who you would not want to sit beside Nigerian society is decorated in a way that you can do nothing but act in the way you are acting. It is decorated in a way that your leaders can do nothing but act in the way they are acting. We are all victims. Yourself, myself, and the leaders we are complaining about. We are all victims of a system that was built against us. We are all traumatized. Now, when someone is traumatized, you can't fix them by calling them out. When you call a traumatized person out, you make worse their situation. They even see you as enemy. I have repeatedly made that mistake whenever I want to complain about how people support or respond to government in alignment. I call them out. You're silly, you're crazy, you're acting up. But it's not their fault. I just have to be honest with you because it has gotten to the point where we have to speak about what the real problem is. Tinubu, Malami El Rufai, Dasuki, whoever it is, Yaya Bello, all those people that have records of questionable characters, especially financial. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, it is not their fault. You who is thinking that those people are this or those people are that, if you had the opportunity to be in that position, I can bet my life you would do even worse. I'm sorry, I think the guy they call Very Dark Man said something like this the other day, but he didn't put it the right way. He was saying the truth wrongly. He didn't care about the sensitivity. And when you do that, you're making the problem reproduce itself in a more complicated manner. Including myself, there are things that I will do and I'll later look at it and I'll be like, God damn, what the hell? But some of us who are able to identify this problem, it's not that we are more intelligent or more gifted. No, it's because we've decided to care about where the problem is coming from. If you cared about where the problem is coming from, you are going to see it. I have been posting a particular book by the person who amalgamated or who founded Nigeria, the person who bought. A lot of people do not know that Nigeria is nothing more than a business entity. The person who bought this business entity called Nigeria, Frederick Lugard, he wrote a book explaining the reason for the conquest of Africa, more so Nigeria. The title of that book is The Dual Mandate of British Tropical Africa. I have posted, if you went to my social media handles, you will see the book. You will see that I post link to downloading the book for free. Just read it. If you are not the one who likes reading, at least you can have 10 minutes to just read the introduction. Do not read the whole book. Read the introduction. It's enough to tell you where our problem is. I don't want to start preaching because the problem was even packaged as the solution. That's why someone will look at themselves and say, now we the cause. We are not the causes. We are only responding to our trauma by looking like the causes. Bro, we were a people that were living life in the best we knew we could. In the introduction to the book by Frederick Lugard, something struck me. He spoke of how Africa was, but we do not just want to read. He said when they came, they met a people that they were a bit better than. The gap between Africans and Europeans today is as wide as the Indian Ocean. But when they first encountered Africa, the gap was just a bit. It was said by, reading what Lugard said is like reading from the horse's mouth. And I want to think that that tiny bit of gap was the gun. He said one of the reasons why Africa has been isolated, has not been conquered all those years, was because of the resistance by the warlike people that our ancestors, for whom a lot of you have been accusing as the ones who sold each other into slavery, the ones who didn't resist the Europeans, the ones who didn't fight back. The horse's mouth, Frederick Lugard said, it was the resistance of the warlike society that isolated Africa from the rest of the world. What that means is that they kept coming and they kept meeting resistance, and then they had to come with the gun. And then the other reason why Africa has been isolated from the world was because there wasn't the need for the materials and food, the natural resources from Africa. When there was a need for that, they had to invade Africa. So while you are seeing these people as the people who are here to help us to become modern, they are seeing you as mineral resources, material resources, because there was an economic deficit in Europe. There were people that liked to fight wars against each other. It was clearly written in the introduction by Lord Lugard. He spoke he spoke about France rather, and he said the Prussian War, France was defeated and it put France a bit backwards. So France needed to rehabilitate their society, and it became very necessary that Africa must be invaded because the rehabilitation of Europe is dependent on the invasion of Africa. And he said it clearly that that's what has been happening till today. He wrote this book in 1922, and it's just like he wrote it yesterday. Everything that you're seeing is what the white man has written a script to play. Stop blaming yourselves. You are not the problem. You should rather be the solution. But then how do we get solution? Because you can't speak so much about the problems without profiling solution. You will just be more or less an armchair critic. But I'll say something that will seem funny. The first solution to our problem is for Africa or Nigerians to heal. We are all traumatized. We are all traumatized. Our educational system is a setup, they distract us with education. I am not saying do not get education. As a matter of fact, it is by education that I would be able to understand what the problem is. But when you look at our educational system, it's a distraction. They didn't put curricula that would help us to advance. That's why amidst all the schooling, all the PhDs, Nigeria has a whole lot of PhD. There is nothing to show for it. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Someone with a PhD is indebted to someone that has an SSC. Your salary cannot afford bag of rice, so you have to take bag of rice from an illiterate seller and promise to pay when the salary comes. You see that your education didn't do anything for you. But I'm not saying don't go to school. Education is foundation to development. The problem with our own education is that we are miseducated. We are educated the wrong way. We are just taught to speak English, and like King Eyo Honesty said, no book. We are just taught to know book, as in I sabi book. That's all. No invention, no creation, nothing times nothing is nothing. So We have to heal. We have to be psychological about ourselves. We need psychotherapy for society. And that's why we need the National Orientation Agency to be speaking to us. But what do you expect from an orientation agency that is the most disoriented political sect? All these are designed to distract us. The orientation agency does nothing but take salaries. So we need to be talking to ourselves, just like I'm talking to you. Whatever knowledge, I do not hope that you would agree with anything I say at all, but whatever aspect of whatever I have said that you agree with, find a way to pass it down to the other people. Get people to understand that they are not the problem. While we keep seeing ourselves as a problem, we would never see solutions, because the solutions will only come from us. And for as long as we are thinking ourselves as the problem, solution will never come from us. So we need to heal. When you see someone going wrong, when you see someone acting up, pity them and call them to order. Try to tell them the root. Say, I can trace every single thing a Nigerian does to the colonial system. Just mention one. I challenge you. And to even, what is it, foolishness? Is it, just think of anything the Nigerian does wrong. I can trace it to the colonial system. A lot of people say the colonial masters have left. They have not left. They are there. Tinubu was in the UK the other day. What do you think he went there to do? He has been to France a couple of times. What do you think they go there to do? American soldiers are in Nigeria. What do you think they are here to do? It is called globalization. Globalization is white supremacist technique to hold Africa down. We just have to heal. When someone posts in support of APC, do not attack them. That's my suggestion. Educate them. When you start attacking them, you start making them to rather be hostile to your education. Have pity for them, show them love, and try to tell them why they shouldn't be doing that. How it is them shortchanging themselves in favor and furtherance of the system that has been set against them. That's what I think and I believe we should be doing. Let the revolution not be televised. Let the revolution be intellectual. Change the way you think, unlearn a whole lot of things and relearn progressiveness. And very important is our women. One other thing the Europeans did when they invaded Africa was to take power away from our women and then enthroned a destructively patriarchal society. Men in Africa never used to be this powerful. No. When you study sexology, when you study gender, you would realize that men trying to show that I'm the man is a sick mentality. It's not natural with men to be hard, to be the head of the family, to show strength. It's not natural with men. Now, if you look at the physicality of a man, he's already strong. A man is already built strong, broad chest, tough voice, feet and arms that are airtight, You've already been made strong naturally. So why are you seeking to be stronger? when a man is wanting to prove himself of being full of strength, society risks producing a tyrant, someone that was made strong is not supposed to show it. You are already what it is. And then look towards the women. They were made soft. They were, they even call them the weaker sex, but that's even not true. No sex is weak. But by the physical appearance of a woman, you could see softness, you could see tenderness, you could see someone that you should cuddle. So the woman is already soft. The woman is already under the control of her nature. Why do you want to control her anymore? When a woman is so soft looking and then a man who is already strong tries to shut her up, tries to put her down, society risks producing slaves. You want to enslave the woman. That talk about I don't like remembering all these nonsense talks, but it's in the Bible. Wives, be submissive to your husband. That's trash to me. A woman is already born in submissiveness. Can't you see how soft? Can't you see how subtle a woman is? Someone that has already been submitted to nature. Why do you demand submission from her anymore? That aspect of the Nigerian society is very paramount with how drastically organized society is. But we only want to focus on politics. Politics is just what controls these other things. If these other things are okay, the control of politics will be to the benefit of society. But politics is controlling something that is not okay. That's why the politics it's itself not okay. Allow women to be. There is one rapper, Meek Mill, who said, when women lead, there is nothing to follow. When you say this kind of trash, you make society suffer. But it's even common sense. Men have been leading. There's always trouble in the world. Iran, America, Israel, they are causing chaos in the world. Who are the people who are leading those countries? They are men. First World War, Second World War, Cold War, civil wars, Biafran War, all of these conflicts. Who are the people who instigated, who led? Men. Colonization, slavery. Who were the people? Men. The most we heard about women in Nigeria during colonialism were Mary Slessor and Flora Shaw. What did they do? Flora Shaw was a journalist who worked with the Times, and she was the one who suggested the Christianing of Nigeria. She said we should name Nigeria by the river Niger, the Black River. Niger is it's gotten from Niger, black, Negro. Mary Slessor has been credited for putting a stop to the killing of twins, even though that history is not told the way it is. Who actually put the stop to the killing of twins was King Eyo Honesty. But Mary Slessor went ahead to make sure it doesn't even happen anywhere, because even while King Eyo Honesty banished killing of twins in the secret, in smaller communities, in hidden places, it was still going on. So it was Mary Slessor that went into the hinterland of the hinterland to stop that killing. You could see the contribution of women. So when you are in society that allows women to express themselves, that society flourishes. When we are talking about the rebirth of a nation, which gender is associated with birth and rebirth is the woman. You cannot rebirth a nation without the woman. Allow women to be. Allow women to thrive. Stop abusing women. Stop raping women. Stop calling women articles of submission. Stop saying women belongs to the kitchen. Oh my goodness, there is nothing I eat that I can't cook. And that's how it has been. When you divide roles and you make women to be the one that will come back from work the same way you came back from work and lie down to rest, and the woman is in the kitchen doing nanny, bro, it doesn't make sense, because you start calling me, how do they call those people? Ah, these alpha male, how do you people call people like us? Ah, like I said, I don't like remembering those kind of bullshit names. Mm, there is a name. There is a name. If I was on live, I would have been told. Ah, you, uh, there is a name they call men that uh, seem to be weak. Weak men. That name, they call us that name because we are not expressing our masculinity. Masculinity should be channeled into the rebirth of a nation. If you're masculine enough, stand up and fix the system that is oppressing you, that is getting you to oppress women. That's what your masculinity is supposed to be doing for you. Uh-huh. Simp. Any man that speaks like this is considered a simp, is considered vegetable. You're supposed to be very authoritative to your woman. Bro, when you do that, look at Europe. Do you see how powerful women are in Europe and America? Don't you think that is the reason why those countries are attractive? You want to go to those countries because women are allowed to be themselves. When you allow women to be themselves, women will help society to grow, because the woman is naturally gifted to make society grow. Is naturally gifted to care. Nigeria is a country that is lacking care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The leaders or the politicians do not care about you. You do not care about each other. The reason for that is because the gender who is responsible for administration of care in society has been reduced to the kitchen. We just have to sit ourselves up. Nigeria is ours to fix. No matter the Europe you've jackpot to, Nigeria is waiting for you. There is no one person who is in Europe or America with every member of their families and friends. Not one. So when you've escaped, your friend is back in Nigeria, your cousin is back in Nigeria. Don't you care about them? Or you don't go there, make them suffer. No. In fact, you will be sending money. If the country was okay, you would not have to send that money. You will save it and do something for yourself. So it affects us all wherever we find ourselves. And to say the least, the Europe you are living in, the kind of life you were exposed to, the fact that you are even considered a second or third class citizen, depending on the country you find yourself, is already traumatic. So we should call ourselves to order Subtly, we should stop. The attacks are too much. APC will say this, ADC will say that, PDP will say the other, and society is just full of chaos. These are the orchestration that have been laid long before you were born. And the only way we can stop this orchestration from continuing is to know that this is the problem, the system is the problem. And until we start talking to ourselves about the systemic problem, we will keep going around circles. But that's not what I wish for ourselves. Even though we are a people born defeated, I have seen remontada. I have seen Real Madrid come from nothing to lifting trophies. Let us remontada on our country. Peace be with you.